Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to this new video where I'm gonna show you what you will find inside our new pack Isolate. It's a minimal tech house pack inspired by the sounds of Bibi, PAWSA, Wits, and in general the Solid Grooves style. So let's start with the bass line. As you can see, we have 30 bass loops. Each one of them is key labeled and has its own MIDI. So let's listen to some of them. So as you can hear, these are some really subby and groovy kind of bass line, and these are the MIDIs. We also have some bass one-shots. They are all in the key of C, so it's gonna be really easy for you to use them. Then we have the drum loops, which are divided in full, at, percussion and top. Let's start with the full. Then the hi-hat loops. The percussion loops. And the top loops. Then the drum one-shots. Let's start with the claps, the cymbals, where we have the crashes, some closed hi-hats, some open hi-hats, and some rides. Then the kick drums, the percussions, and the snares. Moving on into the effects, we have 15 effects between uplifters, downlifters, impacts, and ambient sounds. Here you can see the starter project for Ableton and FL Studio. We have a dedicated video on the product page, but we'll cover a bit of them later on. Then we have the pads. The synth loops. As for the bassline, they are all key labeled and with their own MIDI. We also have the synth one-shots. Then a particular feature of the sample pack are the trumpet loops, which are really used in the Solid Grooves style tracks. And you'll also find MIDI in case you want to use a different sound. The final folder contains some vocal loops. Now let's move on into the starter projects, and I'm gonna give you a brief overview of what you'll find inside. Let's start with the Ableton one. So that's the Ableton starter project. As you can see, you will find some channels here that are already created. First one is the kick drum, and here there is a drum rack with all the kick samples, so it's gonna be really easy for you to choose the right one. We have the bassline channel, which has one shot that can easily be replaced with an equalizer, some compression, and some sidechain. Then we have the drums group. As for the kick, we have a drum rack with all the sample for each channel. So we have the claps, open hat, close hat, percussion, snare, right, and we have an extra audio track for some loops, and on the drum bus itself we have an equalizer and a compressor. So all the plugins that you'll find on the channels are with the default setting, so it's gonna be really easy for you to change them along the way. The synth channel is basically the same as for the bassline, so we have a one shot together with an equalizer and a compressor for the sidechain. Then we have the pad, the vocal and the effects channel. On the pad, just an EQ and some sidechain. On the vocal, we have EQ, compression and some multiband compression, and then we have the effects channel, which is just an equalizer. As you can see, we also have two send channels. The first one is the reverb for the drums and the second one is the reverb for the vocal, and you'll also find a really quick mastering chain with an EQ, a compressor and limiters. Now let's move on into the FL Studio one. So now we are in the FL Studio starter project. The concept here is actually the same of the Ableton project. So we have used the FPC, which is the equivalent of the drum rack, and here we have all the kicks, and as you can see from the piano roll, they are all here. Then we have the bass one shot, which once again can be easily replaced to whatever sound you like. Then the rest of the drums, and we have used the FPC here as well. So for the claps, open it, percussion, close that, ride, snare, and we have a loop. Then the one shot for the synth, the pad loop and the vocal. All of these channels are obviously linked to their own mixer channel. So we have the kick drum, which only has a parametric EQ, the bassline, which has a couple of EQ and a compressor, and the bassline is also sidechained to the kick. Then we have this drums channel, which is basically a bass. So as you can see, the clap, open it, close that, percussion, snare, ride and top loop are all sended to this drums channel, and here we have a couple of equalizer and a compressor. Then we have the synth, which only has a couple of EQ like the pad and the vocal, where we have a bit more processing with the compressor, the multiband compressor and the reverb. Then the final thing is the master channel. So we have a fruity balance to change the gain of the track, a couple of equalizers, a compressor and a limit. So yeah, basically that's all for the sample pack breakdown. If you have any questions, you can always contact us via email at info@phantomsounds.com, and I'll see you soon. Bye.